Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Tanvi Taneja, coming up in the next hour. In a boost to India's growing engagement with Africa, President Draupadi Murmu on a visit to Angola, the first ever by an Indian head of state. Prime Minister Modi to visit Bhutan on November 11th and 12th to attend the Global Peace Prayer Festival and inaugurate hydropower project. Indian Railways race ahead towards a high-speed future as Prime Minister Modi flags off 4 new Vande Bharat trains from Varanasi. Longest shutdown in American history enters 39th day amid deepening political deadlock, impacting flights and unpaid workers. And India clinched T20 series over Australia after bad weather hampers the final match at Gaba in Brisbane. In a sign of India's deepening engagement with Africa, President Draupadi Murmu, the first ever Indian head of state, is on a two-nation visit to the continent of Africa. In the first leg of her trip, President Murmu is visiting Angola. This trip holds immense importance, especially as India and Angola mark the 40th anniversary of establishing diplomatic relations. She is also scheduled to address the Angolan parliament and interact with members of the Indian diaspora of the country. From Angola, her next stop will be neighbouring Botswana. President Draupadi Murmu's itinerary also includes interacting and engaging with members of the Indian community living in Angola. DD India's Akash Popli spoke to Samuel Mathai, Vice President of the Indian Chamber of Commerce in Angola, about the President's visit and its significance for the Indian community.
Our President visit, the Angolans will be considered a great achievement for them because they also wanted India to come over here, and they consider now India is one of the fast growing country, and then there are India's participation in this investment and participations. They are expecting a lot. So our president visit will be a great achievement for our country.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a two-day visit to Bhutan from the 11th of this month. During the visit, Prime Minister Modi and King of Bhutan, Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk, will inaugurate the 1,020 megawatt Punat Sangshu 2 hydroelectric project. The project is jointly developed by India and Bhutan. The Prime Minister will attend the celebrations dedicated to the 70th birth anniversary of the 4th King of Bhutan, Jigme Singye Wangchuk, and also meet his counterpart, Shering Tobgay. Prime Minister Modi will participate in the Global Peace Prayer Festival and offer prayers to the holy relics at Tashi Shongzong in Thimphu. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the National Conference on Strengthening Legal Aid Delivery Mechanisms at the Supreme Court of India in New Delhi on Saturday. The Prime Minister also launched the Community Mediation Training Module prepared by the National Legal Services Authority. The conference deliberated on key aspects of the legal services framework, such as the Legal Aid Defence Council system, panel lawyers, paralegal volunteers, permanent lok adalats, and the financial management of legal services institutions. Addressing the gathering, Prime Minister emphasized that accessible and timely justice is key to social justice. He highlighted the role of legal aid authorities in connecting citizens with the judiciary.
एक गरीब व्यक्ति तब तक न्याय नहीं पा सकता जब तक उसे अपने अधिकारों का ज्ञान न हो, वह कानून को न समझे और सिस्टम की कॉम्प्लेक्सिटी से डर महसूस करता रहे। इसलिए कमजोर वर्गों, महिलाओं और बुजुर्गों में लीगल अवेयरनेस को बढ़ाना, ये हमारी प्राथमिकता है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi today asserted that trains like Vande Bharat, Namo Bharat and Amrit Bharat are laying the foundation for the next generation of Indian railways. The Prime Minister was addressing the gathering after flagging off 4 new Vande Bharat express trains from Varanasi in the northern Indian state of Uttar Pradesh.
Marking another milestone in India's push towards modern rail infrastructure, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Saturday flagged off 4 new Vande Bharat express trains from Varanasi. PM Modi said pilgrimage centres like Varanasi, Ayodhya, Prayagraj and Chitrakoot are being linked through the Vande Bharat network. He described the Vande Bharat as a train made by Indians for Indians and of Indians, symbolising national pride and progress.
आज वंदे भारत, नमो भारत और अमृत भारत जैसी ट्रेनें भारतीय रेलवे की अगली पीढ़ी की नींव तैयार कर रही है। ये भारतीय रेलवे को ट्रांसफॉर्म करने का एक पूरा अभियान है। वंदे भारत भारतीयों की, भारतीयों द्वारा, भारतीयों के लिए बनाई हुई ट्रेन है, जिस पर हर भारतीय को गर्व है।
The new trains will operate on the Banaras, Khajuraho, Lucknow, Saharanpur, Firozpur, Delhi and Ernakulam, Bengaluru routes, taking the total number of Vande Bharat trains in service to over 160. The Banaras Khajuraho Vande Bharat will save about 2 hours 40 minutes connecting key regions and cultural centres like Varanasi, Prayagraj, Chitrakoot and Khajuraho. The Lucknow Saharanpur Vande Bharat will cover the route in 7 hours 45 minutes, saving nearly an hour. It will benefit travellers across central and western Uttar Pradesh and improve access to Haridwar via Roorkee, fostering regional development and connectivity. The Firozpur Delhi Vande Bharat will be the fastest on its route, completing the journey in 6 hours 40 minutes, strengthening ties between Delhi and Punjab's key cities. It will also boost trade, tourism and job opportunities in border regions. While in south, the Ernakulam-Bengaluru Vande Bharat will cut travel time by over 2 hours, completing the journey in 8 hours 40 minutes. Like major IT and commercial hubs, it will enhance travel and comfort and promote economic and tourism growth across Kerala, Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. The event was attended by Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath, Minister for Railways Ashwini Vaishnav and other dignitaries. Bureau Report, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi visited the residence of former Deputy Prime Minister of India and Bharat Ratna awardee Lal Krishna Advani in New Delhi to greet him on his birthday. Earlier in the day, through his social media platform X, Prime Minister Modi described L.K. Advani as a statesman blessed with towering vision and intellect, whose life has been devoted to strengthening India's progress. Prime Minister also wrote that L.K. Advani's contributions have left an indelible mark on India's democratic and cultural landscape. More from India. Sitamarhi in Indian state of Bihar is known for its famous Punora Dham, the birthplace of goddess Sita. The Dham plays a crucial role in this election as its development-led promises drive voters' mandate. DD India's Deepika Mehto reports from Sitamarhi.
Team DD India has now reached Sitamarhi, one of the ancient districts of Bihar and revered for many reasons. And most importantly, this is the birthplace of goddess Sita. The pond that you can see behind me is exactly the place where Ma Sita took her birth. Now, Sitamarhi is going into the elections and going for the polling in the second phase of Bihar Assembly elections, which is scheduled for the 11th of November. Let's now talk to the voters here. What exactly do they demand? What are the benefits they are getting from the government? And what is the scenario when we talk about job employment?
Sitamarhi is home to the sacred Punara Dham, a historical place located in Sitamarhi district of Bihar, which is considered to be the birthplace of Mata Sita. Famous for its mythological aspect, the district of Sitamarhi now gears up to poll on the upcoming 11th November. As Sitamarhi gets ready, Prime Minister Narendra Modi once again lauded government's initiative of developing the Punara Dham into a grand temple.
हम इस क्षेत्र को रामायण सर्किट से जोड़ रहे हैं। सीतामढ़ी से अयोध्या के लिए सीधी रेल सेवा भी इसी प्लान का हिस्सा है। अयोध्या में सीतामढ़ी के दामाद जी का भव्य मंदिर बन गया है। अब माता के मायके की बारी है। पुनौरा धाम की भव्यता अब पूरी दुनिया देखेगी।
Development factor remains the key for voters, as they said that the development of Punara Dham will benefit the district and also help in uplifting the status of the region with more tourist and business opportunities.
मोदी जी जहाँ हैं वहाँ विकास ही विकास होता है, ठीक है। और उनकी इस माँ की असीम कृपा है कि हमारे आदरणीय मोदी जी को प्रेरणा मिला कि चलो अब मैं रामलला को देख लिया, अब मैया को देखें। तो मैया का यहाँ शिलान्यास किए हैं और यहाँ भव्य मंदिर बनेगा और एक पर्यटक स्थल बनेगा जिससे इस पुनौरा गांव के सारे बेरोजगार का रोजगार यहाँ मिलेगा।
While the development of Sita Janki Mandir remains a key factor, the youth now demands employment opportunities.
यूजर चाहते हैं, वो रोजगार चाहते हैं और क्या चाहते हैं। जो अभी इसका निर्माण भवन भी हो रहा है, बहुत बढ़िया खुशी की बात है। हम लोग भी सीतामढ़ी से हैं और इसके ये बात सुन के हम लोग को बहुत खुशी हुई कि हमारी सीता माँ की जानकी की भव्य मंदिर बनने वाली, जैसे कि अयोध्या में माँ ये भगवत राम जी की जो मंदिर बनी वैसे मेरी माँ सीता की भी बनेगी।
Sitamarhi awaits tourist attraction with the development of Punara Dham, and the development-led promises has the trust of voters who believe that this can be a big game changer for their livelihood.
So the voters here are bound to get a lot of benefits with the development of the Punara Dham, the birthplace of goddess Sita. This is what the voters have to say here in Sitamarhi, because it is going to give immense benefits for their jobs, for their different opportunities. With camera person Manmohan, this is Deepika reporting from Sitamarhi for DD India.
Still to come on DD India Newshour. Violent clashes rock Bangladesh's capital Dhaka, at least 120 people injured. Two prominent Kenyan human rights activists released after spending 39 days in detention. Donald Trump says no US official will attend this year's G20 in South Africa.
Desh Ki Mitti captures the deep connection that Indians everywhere feel with the country's soil. But today, this land and the communities that directly depend on it both face grave threats. We uncover stories of innovation and resilience that are trying to safeguard this soil for the future generations.
When we follow what the scientists recommend, we end up spending less. I now use less fertilizers, but I'm getting better yields.
These kinds of structures, they actually help keep the water in the landscape, allowing it to sort of seep into the groundwater and contribute to, maintaining groundwater level.
99% of the cases that I've seen, cause for urgency is not satisfied.
The project is innovative. They're maintaining our beach like a clean city.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I am Tanvi Taneja. The U.S. government shutdown now enters 39th day, the longest in American history, amid flight delays, unpaid workers and a deepening political deadlock. Both parties, Republicans and the Democrats, remain divided over spending priorities, leaving millions of Americans caught in the middle. DD India's Mohammad Afsarul Hassan reports.
The U.S. government shutdown has entered its 39th day, the longest in the nation's history, with severe effects on daily life across America. Airlines have scaled back flights as the shutdown stretches into the weekend. U.S. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warned that airlines may have to reduce flights by up to 20% if the shutdown continues. Across the country, air travelers are facing mounting disruptions, from delays to outright cancellations, as the shutdown begins to affect airline operations and safety staffing. Amid the record 38-day shutdown, travelers flying out of Texas encountered short lines at TCA checkpoints in Houston's George Bush International Airport. The Federal Aviation Administration ordered airlines to cut 4% of the flights at 40 major airports, including Houston, due to staffing shortages. Officials say those cuts could rise to 10% by November 14th. President Donald Trump says he doesn't know when the shutdown will end and again blamed Democrats for the impasse.
I don't know. It's up to the Democrats. We voted, the Republicans have voted 14 times to open up the country, and the Democrats have voted 14 times to hurt the country, really. They should approve it, but they might not.
The president departed Washington, D.C. for Florida, where he is expected to spend the weekend at his Mar-a-Lago home, even as his administration faces the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. However, Trump urged the U.S. Senate to stay in Washington, D.C. until a deal is reached to end what he called the Democrat shutdown, as the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Meanwhile, the U.S. Senate has rejected a bill that would have resumed pay for hundreds of thousands of federal workers. The measure fell short by 7 votes in the Republican-controlled chamber as both parties continue to clash over how to reopen the government.
This is what's happening. People who are terrified of what's going on. So we have this moment in time. We're ready to work through the weekend. We hope our colleagues are as well. So let's get to the table. I hope the president comes and meets with us. The amount of money we're talking about here is about the same as the money that went to Argentina. I'm not going to relitigate that, but it shows what we could do and why we could do it. So let's get it done.
Are the Democrats deaf? Do they not hear from the people that they're putting in these situations? This is their shutdown. This is their Biden budget they're not voting for. They voted for this 4 times over the last 19 months, and now they won't because their far left wing tells them not to.
The lapse in funding has led to many federal workers missing paychecks and millions of Americans losing food stamp benefits, and could force airlines to cut up to 20% of flights due to a lack of air traffic controllers. With no deal in sight, the shutdown's impact is deepening, stretching from the halls of the Congress to airport terminals nationwide. Americans are now asking how much longer Washington's stalemate can last. Mohammad Afsarul Hassan's report for DD India.
Now, in the latest escalation of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, Russia launched a major overnight barrage of drones and missiles across Ukraine. Kiev says at least 3 people were killed and critical energy facilities were hit in the Ukrainian capital, along with Poltava and Kharkiv regions. Ukrainian officials report more than 450 drones and 45 missiles fired, with civilian casualties in Dnipro and Kharkiv after residential buildings first struck. Russia says its forces are advancing in fierce battles near Pokrovsk and Kupiansk, claiming the capture of a small village in the east. Moscow also accused Ukraine of expanding drone attacks deeper inside Russia, with strikes on a power substation in Vologda and a residential building in Saratov, injuring 2 people. More from Asia. Just days after Typhoon Kalmegi wreaked havoc across Southeast Asia, another typhoon, Phung Vong, approaches the Philippines next. It is expected to strengthen into a super typhoon before landfall. The Meteorologist Department warns that its wide radius could cover nearly the entire country, raising fears of further destruction and suffering for millions already reeling from Typhoon Kalmegi.
Philippines braces for another storm, Typhoon Phung Vong, just days after the deadly Typhoon Kalmegi devastated the country. Phung Vong, locally named Uwan, is forecast to make landfall on Sunday night or early Monday morning, likely in the coastal Aurora province. Authorities have issued urgent warnings regarding life-threatening storm surges of up to 5 meters and destructive winds. The Weather Office warns that Phung Vong's circulation is massive, spanning 1,500 kilometers, meaning it could blanket nearly the entire country. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has declared a state of national emergency as the country prepares for the storm's impact. Typhoon Kalmegi had left a trail of devastation across Southeast Asia, killing hundreds in the Philippines and at least 5 in Vietnam, flattening homes, uprooting trees, and knocking out power to millions. Grief and exhaustion swept through the province of Cebu in Kalmegi's destructive and deadly wake. Death toll from Typhoon Kalmegi has climbed 204, with 109 more still listed as missing. The Philippines and Vietnam are among the world's most disaster-prone countries, facing typhoons almost every year. However, scientists warn that storms like Kalmegi are becoming stronger and more frequent due to the climate crisis. Bureau Report, DD India.
At the Bilem Climate Summit ahead of COP30, Dr. Arunabha Ghosh, CEO, Council on Energy, Environment and Water, and COP30 Special Envoy representing South Asia, addressed the Leaders' Summit on a thematic session on energy transition. The South Asia Envoy to COP30, Dr. Arunabha Ghosh, highlighted the story of India and South Asia. He said India has electrified 130 million people in 18 months, delivered clean cooking and fuels to over 100 million households, while simultaneously building out a clean energy infrastructure, which is the 4th largest in the world.
My country, India, electrified 130 million people in 18 months, delivered clean cooking and fuels to over 100 million households, while simultaneously building out a clean energy infrastructure, which is the 4th largest in the world. Our analysis at CEW suggests that India's current climate policies will help bend its emissions curve and reduce CO2 emissions by 4 billion tons between 2020 and 2030. So to bridge the ambition and the implementation gaps, we must first fill the perception gap. We must recognize the countries, cities, and companies in the Global South that are meeting their goals ahead of time with a bias for action.
Delhi is seeing improvement in its air quality this November compared to last year. Chairman of the Delhi Pollution Control Committee, Sandeep Kumar, said this progress reflects the continuous efforts and strict directions of the Delhi government and its departments. Appealing to citizens, he advised installing anti-smog guns on buildings above 5 floors, adjusting office timings and using public transport more often.
दिल्ली प्रदूषण नियंत्रण समिति की तरफ से दिल्ली सरकार के विभिन्न विभागों के माध्यम से हम पिछले कुछ समय से विभिन्न कदम उठा रहे हैं दिल्ली के प्रदूषण को नियंत्रित करने के लिए, और इसका नतीजा कुछ हद तक अब देखने को मिल रहा है। यदि आप नवंबर के AQI को देखेंगे तो 7 दिन कल तक बीत चुके हैं, और 7 दिनों में अगर हम आंकड़ों को देखते हैं तो 6 दिन पिछले वर्ष की तुलना में दिल्ली का AQI बेहतर रहा है।
Toxic smog, meanwhile, shrouded Pakistan's Lahaul-Spiti on Saturday, with air quality reaching hazardous levels. Authorities were checking smoke-emitting vehicles following a court order to try and reduce the pollution level. Lahore recorded an air quality index AQI of 336, a reading that poses serious health risks to its millions of residents. In Dhaka, violent clashes erupted on Saturday afternoon between police and thousands of protesting teachers, leaving at least 120 people injured. In a major escalation of their ongoing agitation, government primary school teachers have announced a nationwide work abstention beginning Sunday, demanding urgent reforms in pay and promotion structures. The decision was made at the central Shahid Minar on Saturday afternoon, where hundreds of assistant teachers had gathered following a confrontation with police during a march towards Shahbag. Police officials said that the situation escalated after some protesters attempted to break through security barricades and hurled brick chips. The teachers, however, alleged that police attacked their peaceful demonstration without provocation. Earlier in the day, thousands of teachers had gathered peacefully at the central Shahid Minar to press home their demands before violence erupted. And next we take a look at other stories making news around the world. Two prominent Kenyan human rights activists, Bob Jage and Nick Oyo, were released on Saturday after spending 39 days in detention in Uganda following their abduction during a political rally. Jage and Oyo, both affiliated with the Free Kenya movement, were seized on October 1st while attending a campaign event in Kampala. In Kenya's Nairobi, hundreds of Greenpeace Africa volunteers gathered to form a giant human map of Africa, calling for higher taxes on the super rich ahead of the upcoming United Nations Tax Convention. The colorful display symbolized unity across the continent and demanded fairer global tax systems to address inequality and fund climate action. President Donald Trump has said that no U.S. official will attend the G20 summit in South Africa this year, citing the country's treatment of white farmers. President Trump has repeatedly said he would not attend the summit in South Africa, which is scheduled for November 22nd to 23rd, due to the friction with its host over policies on land and policies on Israel. You're with us on DD India Newshour, still to come on the show. An expert take on India's growing engagement with Africa as an Indian head of the state visits Angola for the first time. India's Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal and his Australian counterpart Don Farrell review progress of the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement negotiations in Melbourne.
Desh ki mitti captures the deep connection that Indians everywhere feel with the country's soil. But today, this land and the communities that directly depend on it both face grave threats. We uncover stories of innovation and resilience that are trying to safeguard this soil for the future generations.
When we follow what the scientists recommend, we end up spending less. I now use less fertilizers, but I'm getting better yields.
These kinds of structures, they actually help keep the water in the landscape, allowing it to sort of seep into the groundwater and contribute to, maintaining groundwater level.
99% of the cases that I've seen, cause for urgency is not satisfied.
The project is innovative. They're maintaining our beach like a clean city.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Newshour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Here are the headlines we are tracking at this hour. In a boost to India's growing engagement with Africa, President Draupadi Murmu on a visit to Angola, the first ever by an Indian head of the state. Prime Minister Modi to visit Bhutan on November 11th and 12th to attend the Global Peace Prayer Festival and inaugurate a crucial hydropower project. Longest shutdown in American history enters 39th day amid deepening political deadlock, impacting flights and unpaid workers. And India clinched T20 series over Australia after bad weather hampers the final match at the Gabba in Brisbane. And going back to our top story now, President of India Draupadi Murmu is paying a state visit to Angola and Botswana from November 8th to 13th. This will be the first ever state visit by an Indian head of state to Angola and Botswana. Nilesh Mehta, president of the Indian community in Angola, feels that India and Angola have great potential to collaborate in different sectors, including that of aviation, mining, ports, healthcare, among other areas.
After 40 years, bilateral relations, the first time the President of India is visiting Angola, and there is a huge potential in the various sectors, as I said, that in the trading sector, in the health sector, in the service sectors, even in the aviation sectors also, I can say. They just opened the new airport, and there is a huge potential and possibilities for the ports, for the mining sectors, for the industrialization. As far as the Indians are very good in the creating the small-scale jobs. So our focus as an Indian community, our focus is to creating more jobs over here in Angola, and strengthen the relations.
And Professor Ajay Kumar Dubey from the Center of African Studies from the Jawaharlal Nehru University joins us on the show now. Welcome, sir, to the program. First of all, can you shed some more light on the traditional ties between India and Angola?
Yes, India-Africa has an old relationship, as you heard the other person saying, that we have 40 years old of tie. But much before that, India had supported Angola in its fight against the colonial rule of Portugal. And as soon as Angola became independent, we established our relations by 1985. Our relationship is multifaceted, and we have a growing relationship. But in terms of India-Angola relation, we should also not forget that India's initiative towards Angola is part of its major initiative towards African continent, in which Angola is an important player. Its president currently is also the chairperson of African Union.
Okay, what about the Indian diaspora in Angola? Could you tell us something about their numbers and influence in that country, and their, of course, enthusiasm regarding President Murmu's visit to Angola?
Around 7,000, that's the number that we have in Angola for Indian diaspora. They are in different sectors of economy. They are very active over there, and they are being supported by India's diaspora policy, which Prime Minister Modi has launched worldwide. And in these connections, the President's visit to Angola is also being seen by Indian diaspora as an important step by India to reach out to them, to support through the diplomatic channels, and also to receive high-level visit, for which they are very excited.
Okay. President Draupadi Murmu will be holding bilateral talks with Angolan President Lourenço tomorrow. What subjects are likely to come up for discussion between the two leaders?
See, India and Angola have a growing trade. We have roughly around 5 billion plus trade with Angola. And this is in different areas. The most important area, of course, is hydrocarbon, where Angola is the second highest supplier to Indian hydrocarbon need, including LPG gas. Also, we have a great potential for diamond, which Angola produces, and we refines here. We are world's largest diamond cutter in the world, so we need to explore over there. But much more important, I think, in my term, is that the current term of Angolan president, as the chairperson of African Union, which India invited to be part of the G20, and through which India wants to promote the Global South Connect, also in Africa. The current chairperson is going to play an important role in organizing our initiative in Africa, including the India-Africa Forum Summit, which needs to be finalized, which is due for some time.
Okay, the energy sector has so far been a key area of cooperation between India and Angola. So will India be looking to especially boost its partnership with Angola in this sector during the visit of President Murmu?
Of course, it will. It is the second most important supplier from Africa to India in energy sectors. And there is great potential for increasing that to involve India in terms of oil exploration also, and to import more and more hydrocarbons product, including LPG, liquefied petroleum gas from there.
Okay, can we also expect agreements between India and Angola in the areas of investment and healthcare?
Yes, that's equally important area which needs to be explored. There is great potential. When President of Angola was here, the agreements were signed, and we expect that the president visit to Angola would now expedite those areas, and there would be increasing cooperation in health sector as well. Of course, we have ITEC program also, where we train large number of Angolan professionals in India. I think that program is also going to be expanded, and we look forward to greater engagement with Angola. But most important thing where one needs to focus is to engage people-to-people contact, to engage diaspora, to promote India's relation in Angola, which has not been done effectively in the past because of India's policy earlier. But now under Prime Minister Modi, this should get a boost, that Indian diaspora should become a tool, a reach out to some of these African countries, including Angola and Botswana later on.
Okay, so India is India also likely to extend its cooperation to Angola in areas of space technology, considering ISRO's meteoric achievements there, and of course digital public infrastructure as well? What is your view?
Yes, these are the area where India is trying to reach out to African countries, including in Africa. And one more area that is very important is defense sector cooperation. India is now a producer of arms and equipment, and these arms, military arms, are very cheap compared to the global pricing, and India would like to explore market for that, including in Angola, which is looking for this kind of cooperation.
Finally, sir, President Murmu's visit to Angola also reflects India's commitment to deepening strategic relations with the African continent as a whole. In this respect, is there something that India would be particularly interested in achieving during this visit of President Murmu?
Yes. As I said, the India cooperation with Africa is multi-tiered. It's at the African Union level, it's at the regional organization level, and it also works at bilateral level. The visit of Indian President to Angola will strengthen India-Africa ties at African Union level, because the President of Angola is currently the President of African Union, which is the highest body in African Union, where India needs a greater cooperation, which India invited to become a G20 membership. And in Global South Initiative, the President of Angola will be helpful in promoting India reach, connectivity with Global South, which is African continent as well.
Dubey, for your insights and analysis into our deeper engagement with the African continent. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, let's take a look now at other stories making news in India. India's Minister of Parliamentary Affairs, Kiren Rijiju, in a post on X announced that President Draupadi Murmu has approved the proposal of the government to convene the winter session of Parliament from 1st to 19th of December. In the post, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister further hoped for a constructive and meaningful session that strengthens democracy and serves the aspirations of people. Air India flight AI-129 from Mumbai to London was delayed on Saturday due to technical difficulties. The flight, scheduled to depart at 6:30 in the morning, was held back while maintenance teams addressed the issue. As per a passenger advisory issued, all flight operations at Delhi's IGI airport are normal. The airport authorities have advised passengers to stay in touch with their respective airlines for the latest flight updates. The District Disaster Management Authority of Lahaul-Spiti has issued a travel advisory amid extreme cold and icy road conditions in the upper valley. Authorities warn that routes including the Darcha-Shinkula Road and Gramfu-Losar stretch on NH 505 are experiencing black ice and potential avalanche risks due to inclement weather. Travellers have been advised to avoid unnecessary stoppages, while the police will regulate vehicular movement in affected areas. India's Minister of Commerce and Industry, Piyush Goyal, visited Melbourne, Australia. He held bilateral discussions with Australia's Minister for Trade and Tourism, Senator Don Farrell, and Minister for Skills and Training, Andrew Giles. The discussions focused on unlocking the full potential of India-Australia economic partnership, including through an ambitious and balanced India-Australia Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Agreement, SECA negotiations. India's Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs, Manohar Lal, inaugurated the National Urban Conclave 2025 at Yashobhumi in New Delhi on Saturday. Manohar Lal launched the Amrut Anthem, Jal Hi Janani, for highlighting the importance of water in day-to-day life. He urged everyone to save water for future. The two-day conclave brings together policymakers, urban planners, experts and stakeholders to deliberate on the theme Sustainable Urban Development and Governance through intensive brainstorming sessions across 6 thematic areas. Minister for Housing and Urban Affairs inaugurated the Viksit Bharat City exhibition, which brings to life the vision of a truly developed, vibrant, inclusive, sustainable and future-ready Indian cities. Minister Manohar Lal also launched the dump site remediation accelerator program called DRAP. It's a year-long mission mode initiative aimed at fast-tracking the remediation of remaining dump sites across urban India. Another major initiative launched on the occasion was the Urban Invest Window, UI-WIN, an initiative of HUDCO under the guidance of Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs.
मोबिलिटी प्लान है, चाहे स्वच्छ भारत मिशन है, PMAY है या शहरों के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का विषय है, पानी का विषय है, बिजली का विषय है, जो भी व्यक्तियों की सुविधाएं होती हैं, नागरिक की सुविधाएं, उन सब के ऊपर जितने वर्टिकल है सब पर विचार करते हैं.
Still to come on DD India News Hour. Pep Guardiola joins an exclusive club of coaches to oversee 1,000 games. And Sri Lanka celebrates the 556th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak Dev Ji.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I am Tanvi Taneja. Next, we bring you updates from India's tour of Australia. Well, India have sealed the 5-match T20 series against Australia 2-1 after the 5th and the final T20 match at Brisbane was washed out due to heavy rain and thunderstorms. The men in blue were off to a flying start before the weather played a spoil sport. The series decider at the Gabba ended in an anti-climax, but not before Indian openers Shubman Gill and Abhishek Sharma showcased aggressive intent. India were cruising at 52 without loss in just 4.5 overs when rain forced players off the field. Gill looked in sublime touch, smashing 29 runs of just 16 balls, while Abhishek contributed 23. With this win, India wrapped up the 5-match series 2-1 after rain had also washed out the opening T20I in Canberra. Australia had taken the second match at the MCG in front of a massive crowd of 82,000. But India hit back strongly with wins in Hobart and the Gold Coast thanks to their spinners' dominance. Pep Guardiola will reach a special milestone as a manager this weekend. Manchester City's Premier League fixture against Liverpool will be the 1000th game Guardiola has taken charge of as manager. Throughout his managerial spells at Barcelona, Bayern Munich and Manchester City, Pep Guardiola has risen to become one of the greatest managers in the history of football. He's also helped establish Manchester City as a modern-day force in English and European football. Pep Guardiola's legacy as a manager is hard to put into words. His influence on football can be seen throughout modern football. Before Guardiola came to England, the thought of English teams playing out from the back and playing possession-dominant football was unheard of. Because of Guardiola and Manchester City's success, it is commonplace across every league in England and Europe to see teams playing in a manner that resembles Pep Guardiola's style of football. The Assam Rifles on Saturday announced the 5th edition of its annual half marathon will take place on December 14th in Upper Shillong, Meghalaya. The announcement was made at a curtain raiser event held at the Constitution Club of India, New Delhi, where the organizers unveiled the marathon's official jersey, finisher medal and the route map. The event, first organized in 2021 to promote fitness, camaraderie and community engagement, has grown into a major sports celebration in the region. This year's edition will see over 3,000 participants competing across different running categories.
The event has become the most celebration of running in the Northeast, with some estimated 3,000 plus participants. Keeping this in mind, we have significantly increased the prize purse to rupees 20 lakhs. Our goal is not only to promote wellness and camaraderie amongst the forces, but also encourage the public at large to align with the vision of our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, for a fitter, healthier India.
Novak Djokovic has a chance to add to his 100 career ATP titles as the former world #1 that will face Lorenzo Musetti in the final of the Helsinki Championship in Athens today. The 38-year-old dropped serve for only the second time in the competition, but still cruised into the final with a 6-3, 6-4 victory over Yannick Hanfmann. His last semi-final victory was at the Geneva event in May when he went on to beat Hubert Hurkacz in the final for his 100th career singles title. On the other hand, Musetti beat Sebastian Korda in a thrilling 3-set encounter in the semi-final. Musetti took the first set to love before losing a tight second set and then edging the decider to win 6-0, 5-7, 7-5. Victory over Djokovic will not only secure Musetti a first title of the season, but will also result in a debut appearance at the season-ending ATP Finals in Italy next week. World #1 Arna Sabalenka overcame Amanda Anisimova in a high-octane battle to set up the WTA Finals title showdown with Elena Rybakina in Riyadh on Saturday. Sabalenka had to dig deep to overcome Anisimova 6-3, 3-6, 6-3 in the semi-final. She clocked 12 aces and saved 6 break points to book her place in the final for a second time in 5 appearances. Earlier, Rybakina came from a set down to dismantle Jessica Pegula 4-6, 6-4, 6-3, reaching the final with a perfect record. She takes another step towards her maiden title in the tournament. The final clash will pit the two unbeaten players from the tournament, with 2022 finalist Sabalenka holding the edge thanks to her 8-5 head-to-head record against Rybakina, including a win in the Australian Open final 2 years ago. Former skipper Kane Williamson missed out from the squad as New Zealand announced their ODI squad for the 3-match series against West Indies at home starting from November 16th. Williamson will miss the series to focus on the ICC World Test Championship fixtures next month. Mitchell Santner will lead the side, which sees the return of pacer Matt Henry. Several players remain out due to injuries, including Lockie Ferguson and Finn Allen. Blair Tickner retains his spot after a strong showing against England. The Swami Vivekanand Culture Centre in Colombo organised a kirtan to celebrate the 556th birth anniversary of Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Members of Indian community and the officials from the Indian High Commission attended the event. Sri Lanka holds historical significance as one of the countries Guru Nanak Dev Ji visited during his spiritual journeys, with Batticaloa believed to be among the places he travelled to. And now, stories commemorating the 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram. India celebrated 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram, its iconic national song, on November 7, 2025. On the occasion, Prime Minister Modi inaugurated the year-long commemoration. The celebrations were witnessed across many parts of the globe. The Indian Embassy in Berlin marked the 150th anniversary of India's national song Vande Mataram. The celebration was attended by India's ambassador to Germany, Ajit V. Gupte. The event began with the telecast of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's speech, after which a choir led the gathering in singing Vande Mataram.
And it went on to inspire millions of Indians of all ages and diverse backgrounds.
Similar celebrations were marked in the United Kingdom. The Embassy of India in the United Kingdom marked 150 years of Vande Mataram with cultural performances.
This has made the celebration of the 150th anniversary of Vande Mataram.
To celebrate 150 years of Vande Mataram, a timeless composition that inspired a nation, this celebration at the Indian Embassy in Paris organized a cultural program bringing together the Indian diaspora of France. That's all for this edition of DD India Newshour. Do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. Connect with us on our different social media handles at DD India Live. And for those on the go, you can also download our DD India mobile app for quick news and updates on the go. So we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Tanvi Taneja from all of us here in New Delhi. Thank you for watching. Namaskar.